what it is.
What's up? We got your
person in the cut. God damn. You know, ever since that episode that was sponsored, I've never said the
You haven't
N-word
said it. You
again.
haven't. That is, you
on
know
here,
what?
On here, yes.
I need to do the same. You know, we trying to get sponsored every now and then. You know, why not?
Exactly.
It's not a priority, but you know.
With our track record, it has previously been very difficult to commission any sponsorship, considering how we literally went on maternity leave for months.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
for me,
now when we
I'm
say we're
like,
back.
But also like I feel like people. You know what? I'm gonna talk my shit. I'm gonna talk my shit.
You
I can't
haven't
say
been around.
I have been around for one. Two, I can't say I'm winning that much in life at the moment. So I'm gonna the little wins that I get. I'm gonna go with it. We have not been around for a minute, first of all. And Apple Podcasts is here talking about we are celebrating. Let me find the screenshot. It says celebrating African excellence. It's Africa Month, and we've put together a dynamic selection of great podcasts. Great podcasts. That one we already know. By leading African creators from all across the globe. Be sure to tune in. I'm not gonna say nothing. It says everything.
Do you think of yourself as a creator?
Absolutely not.
Seldomly do so.
You know what? Like when I saw this, first of all, I didn't notice because I haven't been going on Apple Podcasts. But secondly,
because we're about that Spotify.
Okay.
The Spotify.
Apple Podcasts. If you wanna sponsor us, please. Don't you know what I mean? We love you guys, okay? But I didn't notice for one, but also I only noticed because Mash had posted. Shout out Mash. But for one, I've never really considered myself a creator, and so it for me, I won't lie to you, it felt hella weird being acknowledged as a great creator, or rather a leading creator in Africa. But it doesn't translate, which is often the case, right? Like, I'm not complaining about that, because at the end of the day, this is a labor of love. It was always a labor of love.
Yes.
And so
from
I'm from the beginning. So I will never sit here and be like, you niggas owe us money. Y'all have to. It doesn't matter. It really truly doesn't matter to me. But it does mean a lot, to know that. We're being classified under that, like as leading creators.
Literally.
I'm like, are you guys okay? I literally was like, it hit me the other day. I was like, are they okay? Like, are they for real? Like,
where do they get this from?
Where they get that from? Like,
where do they get this from?
Because I'm also looking at exactly. Because I'm also looking at like some of the podcasts that we are sort of with. I mean, besides Mash, who's amazing for one, but also is a pioneer. When it comes to South African podcasts, I mean,
and so consistent,
right?
Like everything we feel like we aren't. He be doing that,
right? Like, I mean, he set the scene in terms of podcasts in South Africa. I mean, he started. If you listen to our episode with him, he started like 100 years ago. Before we even, we knew about it, but before we even, that we could even make a podcast before we even knew that. But that's wild to me. But anyway, child, how are you?
I am running on the least amount of sleep that I've ever ran on in my life. But I'm like, it's weird. It feels so familiar. It feels so natural.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, oh my word, this is the rest of my life. So I don't know if that is a feeling, but I'm in a constant state of, oh my word, this is the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, will I ever sleep again? Because you will literally be like 21 and your parents will be like, I did not sleep last night because you were
out. And it's like, girl.
Like, will I ever sleep again? That's what I would like to know.
Do better. I mean, I understand. You can't help it. to be fair, after having watched Babies on Netflix, it's actually not your fault. Like it's not
literally
a
not
fault.
your fault.
It's actually the body literally just does that. Like there's a thing
been
apparently.
a big switch.
There's a thing in your brain that actually is activated the minute you become a parent. So it happens to both parents. It obviously happens more to the person, the woman or the person who births.
Person who carried, yes.
Yeah, but if in same sex, I think parent situations with men, mostly it does happen to the one who's the most like who's the primary caregiver, but it doesn't happen at the same sort of degree. So if you guys want to understand why your parents, especially your moms, always were like fussing over you and like it's literally they can't help it. Unfortunately, it's wild.
Yeah, but our new co-host is growing at a very scary rate. It was probably the smallest baby I've ever seen in my life.
She was so tiny.
It was the first time that I've ever seen a baby like brand new, like fresh out the box. So I can't really compare it to anything else. But she's growing. It's so exciting to witness. And it's very consuming, but in a very positive way as well. It's consuming in a way that's like, oh my word, this is overwhelming. But it's not an overwhelming that's like, I can't do this. There's a lot of joy with it as well, and not in a way where I'm like compensating for how tired I am and how consumed I am, but like generally it's so many feelings all at once. And the positive are really positive and the negative are like, whoa, nobody told me about this. Like I've heard people speak about things, but man, there's certain experiences where you're like, wow. And I feel like birth was one of them.
Child.
So
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. We will get into that because that is a story that I'm still just like, what the fuck? Like,
exactly. Like, and I think I still haven't processed any of that. I think the more I speak about it, the more I'll be like, oh my word. Like,
that actually happened to me.
What?
Child.
So but there's a new kid on the block.
Yes,
for both of us.
We're all new kids on the block actually at the moment.
Yes, all of us.
There's a new kid on the block. Y'all have seen her. We've been posting her up and down, up and down, up and down. I've been seeing people on some like, oh, one thing about you gonna post that baby? Yes, bitch, I will. Because I see some of you. I know South Africans, guys. You know South Africans. If they see like too much of something,
they start getting weird.
Yeah, they start getting very weird, like very like, oh my god.
So that's why I made my Instagram like super, super private. Like I literally removed so many people. I think I have like I'm following like 200 people and I have like 200 followers. And I literally have in my bio, please don't request.
Yes.
But guess what?
People are requesting.
Stay requesting. I have like more than 100 requests.
Are you
serious? Guys, I'm not gonna let you in. I promise you. I'm not, like I'm not gonna open that door. Like, girl, I don't want to.
I'm telling you, give me within the next 6 months to a year, I'm doing the same thing. I'm not joking. I was saying that. It won't be a baby. It won't be a baby, please. It's not gonna be a baby. It's just something that I've thought about a lot. Where I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do this. Like, just.
I want a more controlled way of sharing my life, and I feel like this podcast is way more controlled.
Exactly. Exactly.
And also, I don't know. Like, even the podcast doesn't protect us from being perceived in a certain way, and having certain narratives run. But I just feel like there's something about visual content that makes people behave very wildly.
Very, very badly.
I don't want that. I've also noticed, I think I'd seen like when I was active on Twitter, I'd see like parents who would share like aspects of their lives and their children. And then there's a way there's a certain point where there's a switch in how people relate to those children and the parents. And it's like, you'll find, yes, there's banter, but then you'll find certain people almost like attacking the parents and as a joke and acting like they're on the side of the kid, but in a very weird way. I don't know. You guys will let me know if you pick this up as well.
I hear you.
That was another thing that was like, I don't want to.
You're not trying to. Yeah, you're not trying to be because it's gonna be like, oh no, the baby is this. No, but what about her? Why don't you guys? My friend, like
I don't want any of that.
Nobody wants that, for one. To just let it be, let people
and also be. So I just felt like with the change that I was going through, I don't know if people noticed, but I became extremely reclusive because I wanted to experience what I was experiencing in my own way. Yeah. Because I'll tell you now, if you have not gone through pregnancy, you are, one, lucky if it's not something that you want, or if it's something that you really want. I hope that it's something that you can experience, because at the same time, for me, physically, it wasn't as scary as everyone had told me it would be. So I spent so much time being, and I think anxious, you can probably relate in terms of like the new journey that you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
You like, I don't know, I it might be toxic positivity, but I live a life where things seem to always work out. Like, that's how things have gone so far. It doesn't mean that they work out instantly or that it's a smooth road, but somehow I always get through.
They work out.
And that's what I appreciate the most, like the fact that I get through. And I still acknowledge the shitty parts of everything, but I've been fortunate enough to be a person who has things that seem to always work out in the end, even if like there's 500 more steps added when there should have only been 10. Cool. So like with pregnancy, I spent so much time being anxious about what was going to happen to my body physically, and I did not experience any of those things. Like, my worst symptom was literally constipation.
Yeah, and then I think like the first 3 months with the not eating, but even then,
yes, with nausea, and that wasn't like, it was
common
hectic,
also.
but it was not like life threatening. I did not feel like I was going to die. Like, I did not feel like this is the worst thing that's happening to me. And even post birth, it's like I was so anxious waiting. I had to have an emergency C-section, which is like a story that I had, like, I would love to share because it was so fucked up. But I expected the worst in terms of my healing. Everyone was like, yo, C-section healing. And that was like one of the main reasons why I did not want to have a C-section. So I was so anxious about the healing. And then next thing, I'm actually okay. Like, my healing, like, I'm fine. Like, I was active the day after. I was okay. I was walking around. I'm all right. And I expected this hell, you know? So it's like, I don't know, we spend so much time being anxious because of other people's experiences or what people tell us about a process, and then next thing you're in the process and your journey is completely different. And even the parts that you should be anxious about are framed completely differently. So I'm glad that like I experienced it in isolation. Because I would have been carrying so many of those things on such a high level. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish I had had people to speak to, because what the fuck when it comes to doctors. They are so ableist. They are, wow, they are just fearmongers on another level. Like, we had one of the worst experiences with the doctors that we had.
Good Lord.
And that was like 9 months, because we found out at 4 weeks. So it was like a proper full 9 months of constantly being like, what the hell? Wow, it was very stressful. I think like there was so much that we had to keep from everyone to make sure that other people aren't as stressed. But we're on the other side. We have a very healthy little baby gel for now, until she says, so maybe I'm not a gel, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. Never know. But very, very happy, very, very excited. But yo, guys,
it's lit.
Between the doctors and other people's superstitions, and it was very lit.
I can imagine.
How are you? How do you feel about your birthing experience?
Child, as a new kid on the block, it's been a kid again. A kid again, yeah, like
kid again.
Literally. It's actually been just the wildest experience. Personally, I think. For a number of reasons. Obviously, it's very wild for a number of reasons. So for one, in a day, so in terms of just how I feel, in a day, I can really like go from feeling like, oh my God, this is like, I think I said it earlier on Instagram, like, this is probably the best thing I've ever done. And then like a couple of minutes later, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Why?
What am I doing?
What am I doing? I don't have a salary, you know?
That's
things
daunting.
Like that. It's very daunting. But then literally when that happens, then I have to go, okay, but remember why you did it, right? Like I'll get to that. But it feels, it's a lot. Like, I won't lie to you. I think leading up to making the decision was definitely not easy. Like, nothing about this has been easy. If any of you perceive it as I make it look easy, or it's like, I don't know, do you guys want me to show you your panic?
I'm not deliberately doing that.
I'm not deliberately doing that. Like, if you guys want me to show you, if you guys want me to show you my panic attacks every fucking hour, like, it's not gonna happen. But it is what it is. But just making the decision already was very difficult. So for one, this was something that I knew I wanted to or needed to do. I always say both. I wanted to and I needed to do it. Wanted to because I want to do my degree, and I like my degree, and I like what I'm studying, and I like what I'm researching, and like, I want to give the things that I'm interested in a chance without, and it sounds wild, like without things like work distracting from it. Like, it's like, but it's work.
Without capitalism interfering.
Without capitalism interfering. I sound like that. But no,
but it is like, what it is. It doesn't need more. It doesn't need more. That's what you would like.
Period. And so I mean, yeah, it wasn't easy. But like I said, I wanted to do it for those reasons that I had mentioned. But then also, I think there's also, in terms of like needing, from the needing perspective, it was like, okay, dude, this is no longer sustainable, right? Like, basically the timeline is like, a couple of people had been telling me, someone I know had asked me for advice because they kind of felt like, they're behind at school, their peers are done, and they are all alone. Not all alone, but they're not feeling
lost. Yeah.
I'm like,
everyone is in a different stage.
And here I am. And I was like, I completely understand. And I had a bunch of people like talking to me about it. I had referred to like my third year of undergrad, and not so much like what's going on right now. So I mean, I started this journey like 2019, but it wasn't the actual master's program. So it was like a preparatory sort of course of sorts.
Like sort of a bridging course.
Yes, a bridging course that we all have to do. So like everybody has to do it. So it's masters and PhD students, because all of us are doing a research project. It's not we're not doing classes and a dissertation. So then for 6 months we had to like attend these classes, I think every Friday, and we had for 6 months, and then we had our last assignment, or our exam was basically a proposal, and so you have to pass that proposal. I think if you are a PhD student, you have to have about 70% and above, and then if you're a master's student, you have to have about 60% and above. And so I made it. I have 72%, isn't it? They should have just put me in the PhD program, isn't it? I mean, might as well. And so, I mean, that was what, like June, July, that was done. And so then I decided, so once you pass and they say, okay, we're giving you the go ahead, you can choose to register to start the master's program, either mid-year. So you can choose to start in the second semester, or you can choose to start right from the beginning. So I chose to start in 2020 because I was like, you know what, let me just give myself a break. It's been hectic. I've also, I started a new job. I think I started a new job 2019, like July or something. So I was like, let me just give myself a chance with this job. Let me get used to it, whatever, cool. And then I had effectively, and I didn't notice this until like, I think maybe early this year, if not late last year. So I actually experienced burnout in 2019 December. That's actually when I officially actually experienced burnout, but we didn't know it was that. Like, I just went to the doctor one time. I was in pain, and she was just like, oh yeah, you have inflamed chest nerves. It's likely that you've just been stressed out and all of that, and so maybe you just need to do this, that, and the other. And she gave me this medication, and some stuff to help me sleep, because I was struggling with that. And then 2020 comes, and obviously, like, I'm full steam, I'm registering, I'm forgetting that I'm burnt out, because I don't, it doesn't feel like it in any case. Like, to me, it didn't feel like it at the time. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm whatever. I literally just took a break for like a month. So, like, I think I took all of December. Whereas usually I never take a break that long at work. Anyway, 2020 comes, and I, obviously register. We're getting into it, and then obviously COVID happens, and lockdown happens, and lockdown happens the way it happens in my life, and work is hectic. I mean, when I tell you that we worked so much that, like, that year we worked a lot. Like, nobody can say we didn't. We worked a great deal. And it did get to a point where I was like, okay, like, I can't
juggle
this. Like, this is a lot. Because also, just lockdown started, and out of nowhere, I lost my sort of sense of concentration. I could no longer concentrate, like, or I couldn't concentrate for long. Like, I can't be someone who, like, I can't say that I had ADHD growing up. Like, I don't know, for one, but also for two, like, it's just, when people say they had ADHD as a kid and how it looked, I never experienced those things. But I started experiencing ADHD symptoms literally during lockdown. Like, lockdown started, and I just, so obviously I couldn't really, like, focus much on anything. So I think mid-year, July, my supervisor was like, look, just take a break. And also, she had gotten very sick. It was like a whole thing. So we're just like, let's take a break. Let's do this next year. So 2020 was my first year. And then obviously second year was 2021 last year. First month, it's like, yes, we register, we're back into it. I'm trying my best. I also started a new job then, January 2021, which part
Queen of starting new jobs.
Okay, which part of me was also just like, what a fucking mistake. But, oh well.
Life be lifing.
It is what it is. You're supposed to learn that way, I guess, sometimes. And so, yeah, we're going at it. I'm sticking to my schedule. Things aren't as hectic. I've got paint on me. I was painting earlier. I just realized. So things aren't like, as hectic as they were in my previous job. But I mean, it's hectic nonetheless, because it's a new job. You're trying to get used to stuff and, all these things. And so I'm literally, like, doing the whole, like, work during the day, and then, school at night, worked in the day, school at night, worked in the day, school at night, whatever. And then, like, I get to July and I can feel bad, man, like, but I'm thinking, because typically I know, like, winter comes through, that seasonal depression pulls up. Miss Girl is like, hey, hello, I'm here. And so that's what I thought was going on. And then I think I realized like and I had already started, inquiring with a psychologist again. So I was seeing someone the previous year, and then I kind of was just like, I don't think this person is entirely not relevant, but like, maybe they're not, they don't really get me. We're not clicking like that. So I inquired in July, like towards the end. But then I think when August came, I think just things went completely left. So I had a breakdown of sorts. It wasn't like anything dramatic or whatever. Like literally, I just couldn't do anything. When you want to do something like, but your body's just like,
you find yourself procrastinating. Yeah. You're like, why didn't I do this? Like
that type of stuff. But I couldn't even get out of bed. Like I would be like, I need to get out of bed now. Like, I know I need to get out. I could not do anything basically. So we then decided. Obviously, then I had to get like assessed and things like that, and they were like, yeah, you kind of have severe depression, aka major depressive disorder. I don't know what the hell that is. One of them. It's something.
I don't know what it is, but it's mine.
It's mine. It's mine, and I have to start like taking medication for this shit. So I'm effectively back on medication. So I'm like taking medication. So I'm like, I'm feeling better. Like it's doing something, and so I'm back into the workflow. I still am like struggling with concentrating. Like, routine, once lockdown started, routine literally started feeling like punishment.
Yeah.
I think I've said this a couple of times that like, routine definitely started feeling very like, when the thought of having to, stick to a routine was, the worst.
Is routine a ritual? Because the thing about rituals is that they feel very weird when we're doing them in isolation.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's like, if routine and rituals are standalones and they're part of a bigger thing, or if routine is a ritual. But anyway, that was a random thought.
Sometimes I'm like, is routine a lifestyle also? Is routine meant to be, or do you build it up to end up becoming a lifestyle? I don't know. Like I also have those very same questions.
Because the thing is with lockdown and everything is that we became so isolated that it's like it feels pointless to have a routine.
Yeah.
If there isn't like other accountability structures,
That's
or it isn't
just
feeding into you being accountable for something else.
Yeah.
Weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So in any case, the year is going. I'm trying to take as many breaks as possible from work. Also, like if I need to take study leave, I'm gonna take it. If I'm trying to take a break, go on holiday somewhere, I will go. I'm gonna take it because I'm just like, I'm tired, And then I have another breakdown eventually. I don't even know when it happened, but it happened. I think I had like 2 or 3 more, like, in the last year. And already I was like, I had already been sort of playing around with the idea of like, okay, I need to actually take a sabbatical. I need to take a sabbatical. It's very clear. Because if I keep going like this, it's just not going to work, like I'm not going to finish this thing. And already time is running out. We had already set to submit end of October last year. And, it was like August, and I was nowhere near where I needed to be. So then they also just had to double my medication. That's also another thing, like now my medication
which is going to mess with your productivity.
Messes up my productivity. It messed up my appetite. Just the first time when I had to start, I was on 150 milligrams, and I could only eat like about twice a day, and even then it was like small meals. By the time I got to 300 milligrams, I could only eat once a day.
If you're not eating and you're struggling with concentrating,
come on, it's not a good combination at all. So already I was playing around with the idea, and I was speaking about it with my psychologist. I always hate saying my psychologist, the psychologist. I always have to remind myself, the psychologist.
She does not belong to me.
Yeah, she does not belong to me. I always have to reel myself back in. But anyway, then, just talking about it and, doing the necessary research. And, you know, where I was working at the time, I spoke to the HR people, and they were like, yeah, no, unfortunately, you won't be able to go on a sabbatical, like, you know, like how one would typically have a sabbatical, because you haven't been working here for 5 years. And I was like, well, that's useless.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah, like I'd have to take unpaid leave. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then, yeah, okay, eventually I decide, you know, I actually want to move cities also, and maybe it'll make me feel better also. I moved cities, and sure enough, yes, I guess I feel better, but I still can't bring myself to sit down and do my schoolwork post having done work. Like I just couldn't. Like, I try, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, literally, it's just like, I don't think I touched my thesis the first maybe 3 4 months of this year, because I was just like, I every time I try, it was just like, no. So what I was just doing was reading, and I was like, you know, I'd much rather just read sort of all the material I would need to write it, and then once the urge does come to write, then I you know, I'll do it. And then, you know, the time was coming sort of closer and closer, and, you know, I'm speaking to my supervisor as well, and she's like, look, the pressure's on. You know, the pressure is on. We need to start like shifting your priorities a little bit. Like, I understand that, you know, you've got work, and you need to make a living, etc., but, you know, this is unfortunately the situation, of which I completely understood, you know, because it's life. So then, yeah, I had to sort of start making that decision, on top of just like a lot of things that happened like this year. Like, so much has happened this year. I won't even lie to you, like, guys, so much happened this year. Too much happened this year. I'm telling you, at a point, because basically I before I became unemployed, I would see the psychologist every week. I think since I started last year, like, effectively except for, like, you know, obviously December breaks. Sometimes we'd have weeks where I'd have to postpone because I'm doing something else, or she'd postpone because something happened, you know, those types of things. But I effectively would see her every week. Got to a point where she was like, look, in this entire year so far, there hasn't been a single week where you haven't been stressed out by something. And it's mostly external things. And obviously, naturally, that they're affecting you, not in a not so great way. In any case, so then now I'm like, okay, shit, I need to start making like a decision. Because for one, I'm becoming increasingly disinterested at work. And also I'm realizing that, like, wait, there's some politics going on with regards to my team. My previous manager, she was amazing. She left, I think, end of last year. And so now we're, you know, things are up, down, round and round. We're under new people. There's politics involved, you know. Now you realize, like, I realized my team was like the stepchild of the department. And I was like, I don't want to be part of that. You know, like, I was like, okay, there goes one reason why I should definitely leave. But then also, yeah, I just had to make the decision. Unfortunately, I had to make that decision under very, like, difficult circumstances. But I made it anyway. And I remember making it, and I felt very, like, okay. Like, it was very peaceful. I wasn't...
It's like weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, it wasn't... I didn't feel... Well, I was feeling conflicted before that. But when I wrote the email and I sent it, I felt very peaceful, very, like, it's done, like, basically. And I remember, like, feeling very, like, no, I'll be fine. You know, it's fine. I'll be fine. And then obviously served a month, and then I think in May, towards the end of May, then was my last day. I did the whole handover thing and everything.
Wasn't the baby born on your last day?
She was. Oh my God, she was born on my last day. She really was, actually. Oh my God, she was born on my last day. And so I was okay for like the first couple of days, because I was like, oh, okay, like, this is different. Like, I wake up and I don't have to open my laptop and do nothing on my side. Like, oh my gosh. I wasn't trying to do all of that. And so, you know, I was fine. And then I don't know like what happened. Something happened, and they just was I don't want to say a shift of sorts, but like almost like an additional thing that I then had to sort of start considering, which was like, oh my God, like I did this thing that is like a complete risk. I've never done this before. I've never not worked. Like, I mean, the last time I didn't work was when I was doing my honors, and even then I worked a bit. And I had to stop because it was first of all too expensive, like having to travel from Hatfield to Sandton, and I wasn't earning enough. So it was my parents were just like, dude, just like it's not worth it. Like, just rather be a broke student, because rather be a broke student who can you know sit and concentrate on their schoolwork instead of
studies. Yeah,
you know, now you're struggling with this and this, and you're traveling up and down. You're tired all the time. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So then like I almost like jump into a state of panic, and it was just so like, it was so weird. It was so weird because already like I had to come to terms with what I was incapable of doing. So that's, I think, amongst many of the things that I suppose I'm like feeling or I'm going through at the moment, part of it is having to accept, or having had to accept, I think I'm still accepting it. Or let me say, having had to accept that there are just some things I can't do at the moment. Like, I am incapable of juggling my life, you know, which is to me, in any case, is it feels like a failure because, you know, you're supposed to do that. Like, you know, you're young.
You're supposed to have these hard times.
Yes,
you're
like
supposed to get through.
This is what we're supposed to be doing.
How dare you choose the way that is going to be supposedly easier when it's not actually easier.
When it's not actually easier. So, you know, like, I mean, I had to, or rather, it faced me. I don't know if it faced me. I faced it, but. I mean, I had to really like sit with myself and I think I'm still struggling with that, but it's like I can't do certain things. Like, I can't concentrate.
It's gonna take so long for you to come to terms with it because you had this idea of being able to do these things for so long. Like, you thought you could do this for so long, so you can't expect yourself to just get over having to readjust your perception of how you can handle certain things.
Exactly.
Or how certain things can fit together.
Yeah.
Because maybe we need to put like some passive wording on it to sort of like cushion ourselves.
Okay.
You know, like cushion the blow a bit and be like how certain things fit together and not necessarily how you can handle
exactly.
them. Twist the language.
Ayo. And so I think it is tough. Let me rather say it now. I won't say it was. It is tough, for one, having to then, like, nobody thinks at 27 years old they're gonna be burnt out, depressed, you know, needing to choose one or the other thing, you know, in their lives. Whereas, you know, you expect to be energetic enough and vibrant enough and all of that enough to do all these things, because it's not like. It's not like, you know, everybody's doing it. I was doing it at some point, but everyone is doing it. Everyone around me is doing it. And so it kind of does, like, it sucks. It sucks having to like sit here and watch other people do it. And, you know, and I'm like, dang. Like,
but you're the only you that's doing it.
I'm the only me that's not doing it. You know, like
everybody else
is doing it.
But like, it's like, you're the only you though.
It's
like,
me.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like, you're the only you.
I'm the only me. And I think that's also like a tough thing to also say, okay, it's just me. But like, then you wake up and you're on the socials or whatever it is that you're on, and someone is waking up at whatever time and they're like working out, and then they go to work, and then they do this,
and then they study, and then they do this,
and then you guys can still go party on weekends. I'm like, by the time it was Friday, I was so finished.
You didn't do drugs. That's the problem.
Not dwellums. That's my problem.
That's where you failed.
No, you know
that's
what?
the real failure. The absence of drugs.
You are right. You are actually very right. And so there's that, right? Like there's that. And then jiggy out of nowhere, I start like experiencing just the most ridiculous like form of anxiety. Like I think I've always just been anxiety prone, and I've had to treat anxiety a couple of times, you know, but like it was never like for sure you have an anxiety disorder or whatever, like, you know, no, it wasn't ever at that point. But it kind of got to a point where I was anxious about everything, like everything.
I know
every
that
single
like
thing,
everything. Like you scroll through your phone and you're anxious.
I'm anxious.
People you usually talk to text you and you're anxious. You know, there's nothing.
No.
There's nothing that warrants that feeling. But
I'm there.
I know.
I'm like I'm anxious as shit. Like I am just in the pits. Like
you're anxious about ordering food. You're anxious about. I know that. I know it.
I'm like, oh my god, every cent that I spend is, you know, that's less time for me to still be doing this. But then that also means that I need to be making plans to ensure that I have an active income coming in. How, when I just quit my job so I can focus on this thing? What is going on? You know, like, so you know.
The math ain't mathing.
1 + 1 was not equal to. And so, you know, speaking to the psychologist, and she's like, look, we don't have time necessarily to talk through it. She's like, we don't have the time. So she's just like, look, here's the psychiatrist I work with. You need to go to this person and we need to figure out what's going on. And so sure enough, I go, and like she basically asks me to explain like just like what's happening in my head, and I realize, oh my fuck, I'm fucked. And not just like in that moment or because of this moment, but it's always been that way. Right, like, and that's what they had. They had like, basically,
I was doing this on my own. I didn't have to do that.
Exactly, right? Like, and so literally, what I ended up, or what they ended up basically showing me was that, like, no, you've always had this. You have generalized anxiety disorder. Period. You've always had it. But there were just certain things that cushioned you from having certain, like, you know, anxious thoughts, so it's like, and whatnot.
That makes sense. That makes sense because, like, when you're working, you have this idea that, no, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to get a promotion. I'm going to move forward. Or no, I'm stressed about money now, but I know at the end of the month, I'm getting my salary.
I get a salary. You
know, like, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So they were like, no, all that or certain parts of your anxiety were stagnant or were almost hidden away because you didn't have to worry about some of those things. So now that you've let go of everything effectively, or what feels like everything, it's now, you know, sort of like popped up, like, hello, we worry about everything. Like,
why aren't you doing those things that kept us from worrying?
Exactly. And so it has just been like the wildest time of my life because, you know, like, obviously in my head I was like, oh, it's gonna be a good time. This bitch is talking about it in 10 minutes. Anyway, we're gonna keep talking. You know, and you know, it's talking about I mean, I guess, like, I'm thinking, you know, it's gonna be a good time, like, everything's gonna be fine, like, we're gonna be good, whatever. I've been talking for 40 minutes. My god,
it's so good.
I know. We did say this was gonna be a long episode when we're catching up.
No, we'll do a part two. We'll do a part two. Don't worry.
And so you know, it's just, I think it's just been wild, like, coming to terms with that, coming to terms with just like everything that's going on, coming to terms with I guess, coming to terms with having to tell people. Like, I haven't told a lot of people who are supposed to know who don't know, because I'm just like, look, I don't want to deal with anyone's panic and anxiety. And you know, I already kind of have, like, there's some people I've told and people just kind of went like just on a complete like, and it's like, oh my god, it's I'm the one going through it. What the fuck are you panicking about?
Our ears need to remove, like, when you're cleaning your ears, like with the you know, like when you're cleaning your earwax, take away the part that makes your ears listen with a comparative understanding.
Yes, yeah.
Stop like always applying
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sometimes listen to the thing from, this is what Misha is telling me.
Yeah.
This is how I know her to be.
Yeah.
Okay. This is how I'm understanding this situation.
Exactly.
If I am to ever experience this thing in my life, these are the lessons that I will take from this experience that she's having.
Exactly.
I don't need to say, oh my gosh, that would be hell for me.
Why would you do that?
I mean, how does that help the conversation?
Yeah. I mean, same thing with you and the pregnancy. And it's like, oh my God, why would you? Why would you? You know, like I understand why. You know, you would hide yourself. I would do the exact same thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would.
I did not want to hear. The day
it comes, let me tell you something. Y'all are not gonna see me any fucking way. If you see me, you didn't see me. You know?
And we're not discussing it.
We're not discussing. We're not discussing. Don't tell me about no. I think because I saw you. No, you didn't. You literally
find like people our age.
Yeah.
Who have the similar setup, or my understanding of a similar setup to what my life looks like.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, they have very different lives to the life that I live. Actually, most people have a very different life. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are having I saw or I heard you guys are having a baby.
Yeah.
I could never. And I'm
could
like,
never.
Obviously you could
and
never.
Like,
obviously you could never. Your life is very fucking different to mine. Like, you're living a very different life. Like, the life I'm living says I could, and I've decided I could. So I don't know what hearing that you could never is going to do for me right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what value it brings to the situation.
You're 100% right. Like, I know there were some people like, well, oh my God, like Sniper's pregnant. I'm like, yeah, like what's wrong with that? Like, is that like almost like it's like because first of all,
scandalized.
I was about to say we scandalize in nonsense. We scandalize rubbish. And it's like, this is really not something to scandalize. Like, first of all, you guys are grown-ups. For one. For two, like, you knew what you were doing. Like, I don't know.
It's maybe no secret that this is one thing that I would really not mind.
But also, 1 + 1 equals 2.
Active.
1 + 1 equals 2. You guys do 1 and then you do 1. But then when it equals 2... And it's like, my dear, that's what happens. You know what I mean? And you guys knew that was gonna happen. So it's also just like, why is it that? And it's exactly
people
that.
Are weirdos,
people are applying their thinking. They're putting their sort of like, I suppose, definition of empathy. That's why I said, like, you guys aren't being empathetic. Weird. Like, you think it's empathy, but when I tell you that this is what's happening in my life and you're like, oh my God, I could never, like, oh my God, I can't, like, that's not empathy, dog. Like, you're being a fucking...
Well, I'm coulding right now.
Yeah.
So I'm coulding. So what does that say about me? Like, because there's a very moralistic, like, lens over that. I could never, like, exactly. I would never fuck up like that. That's what I hear when you say you could never. Like,
100%.
I'm not here seeing someone being empathetic.
And I'm like, first of all, I've heard that before, because guess what? I say it to myself too. So I don't need you to say that to me. Exactly. Like in this instance, in any case, like here and then, like I have those thoughts. And so when you wanna say it, it's just like, bitch, do you think you're helping me? Like, shut up. You know, like keep the hell quiet. Like, there have been times where I've wanted to tell people, like, I need you to shut the fuck up. Like, I definitely made a mistake by telling you, and I ain't never gonna tell you shit ever again.
One thing I want to say is that there's load shedding in a few minutes.
Yeah.
This is where the people are could nevering.
Yes.
There's load shedding in a few minutes. This thing's about to time out. I think we need to film a part 2 tomorrow or later. So please let us know how you relate to what Misha has shared. I'm obviously going to share in my part 2 about the new kid on the block. Going to share my birthing experience, pregnancy experience. There was a lot that I kept to myself or to, like, my friends that I consider a deep part of myself, and my family that I consider a deep part of myself. But yeah, Misha, thank you so much for sharing. It's like, it's so weird.
Also, like, you speak. It's so just before that, like, I just think about, like, my own reaction. I think someone asked me, like, how did you react? I was like, oh, finally.
We were. Everyone said finally.
Literally, I was like, woo, it was about goddamn time. I was like, yes, somebody decided to take one for the team.
That was me to you when you resigned. I was like,
literally. So it's just like, man, yeah. Tell us about how you guys relate. We're gonna film parts maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow later. I don't know. We'll see.
Load shedding.
Yeah. Oh, did it start already for you guys?
No, it's starting now. I won't say the time because I don't need people coming to rob me.
Okay.
So they don't need to know when we're filming.
They don't need to know all of that. But thank you guys so much. We're glad to be back. We're gonna be all over the place. We're gonna be all over the place, but we'll be back, guys. We're back. Yeah, please let us know how you how you relate. We're gonna have another episode soon. And yeah, guys, hey, good to be back. Things are zooming.
See you tomorrow. So we'll drop probably 2 episodes this week, or in the for the sake of consistency, we'll drop
for the sake of one. I guess maybe we can drop 2. Just I might as well be like, guys, bonus vibes. You guys been hounding us. Oh Lord, there we go. Okay. We need to go.
I got hits.
All right then, girl. Let me stop recording. Thank you guys so much once again. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.